In the depths of human experience, we often encounter moments that test the very fabric of our being. These pivotal times in our lives aren't just challenges to overcome, they're opportunities for profound spiritual growth and self-discovery. When we face seemingly insurmountable obstacles, whether they appear as personal setbacks, professional difficulties, or emotional turmoil, we're actually standing at the threshold of transformation. The journey ahead may seem daunting, but it's precisely these moments that can lead to our greatest breakthroughs. The human spirit possesses an extraordinary capacity for resilience, one that often remains untapped until we're pushed beyond our perceived limits. This hidden strength isn't merely about endurance or willpower, it's about connecting with something far greater than ourselves. In times of crisis, we discover that our greatest power lies not in our ability to control circumstances, but in our capacity to align ourselves with a deeper source of wisdom and strength. Consider how often we've found ourselves amazed by stories of individuals who emerged from devastating circumstances, not just surviving, but transformed. These narratives aren't just inspiring tales, they're testimonies to the extraordinary power of spiritual connection. They remind us that within every challenge lies the seed of opportunity, waiting to bloom in the fertile soil of faith and perseverance. This understanding becomes the foundation for navigating our own paths through difficulty.
Life's most profound lessons often arrive wrapped in our greatest challenges. When we examine the nature of spiritual strength, we begin to understand that it operates on principles quite different from physical or even emotional resilience. This power stems from our connection to something eternal and unchanging, a force that remains constant even as our external circumstances shift like desert sands. It's this immutable foundation that provides the stability we need when everything else seems uncertain. The development of spiritual strength isn't a passive process. It requires active engagement with our inner life and a willingness to explore the deeper meanings behind our experiences. Unlike physical strength, which diminishes with use, spiritual power grows stronger the more we draw upon it. This paradox reveals an essential truth about the nature of spiritual resources. They're unlimited and self-replenishing, provided we maintain our connection to their source. Think of spiritual strength as a well that never runs dry, constantly replenished by an underground spring of divine grace. The more we drink from this well, the deeper and more accessible it becomes. This metaphor helps us understand why those who regularly cultivate their spiritual life often display remarkable resilience in the face of adversity. They've learned to tap into a source of strength that transcends their own limited resources. Throughout history, sacred texts and spiritual traditions have provided frameworks for understanding and navigating life's challenges. The Bible, in particular, offers countless examples of individuals who faced overwhelming odds with unwavering faith. These stories aren't merely historical accounts. They serve as mirrors reflecting our own struggles and potential for triumph. The biblical narrative of Joseph, for instance, shows how apparent setbacks, betrayal, false imprisonment, and exile can actually be stepping stones toward a greater purpose. When we look at modern applications of these ancient wisdom teachings, we find they remain surprisingly relevant. Today's challenges may wear different faces, but the core human experience of struggling, persevering, and ultimately transcending difficulties remains unchanged. The tools these traditions offer, prayer, meditation, community support, and spiritual reflection, provide practical methods for building internal strength and maintaining hope during difficult times. Contemporary research in psychology and neuroscience increasingly validates what spiritual traditions have long taught. Practices like meditation and prayer can physically alter our brain structure, reducing stress and increasing our capacity for resilience. This marriage of ancient wisdom and modern science offers a powerful testament to the practical benefits of spiritual practice in facing life's challenges. The transformation of adversity into opportunity requires a fundamental shift in perspective. When we view our challenges through a spiritual lens, we begin to see them not as punishments or random misfortunes, but as invitations to grow and evolve. This reframing doesn't minimize the pain or difficulty of our situations. Rather, it adds a layer of meaning that helps us endure and ultimately transcend them. It's like viewing our lives from a higher vantage point, where the seemingly chaotic patterns below reveal themselves as part of a larger, more meaningful design. This shift in perspective also affects how we view success and failure. From a spiritual standpoint, these concepts take on new meanings. Success becomes less about external achievements and more about internal growth and alignment with our higher purpose. Failure, rather than being a final verdict, becomes a temporary state offering valuable lessons and opportunities for development. This understanding liberates us from the crushing weight of societal expectations and allows us to pursue our path with greater authenticity. The journey of spiritual growth often requires us to question our basic assumptions about life, happiness, and purpose. As we develop this broader perspective, we often find that the very challenges we once cursed become the catalyst for our most significant breakthroughs. This paradoxical truth lies at the heart of many spiritual teachings, that our greatest difficulties often contain the seeds of our greatest blessings. Building spiritual resilience isn't a solitary endeavor. It flourishes within the context of community and shared experience. When we connect with others on a similar path, our individual struggles take on new meaning. The power of communal worship, group prayer, or simply sharing our spiritual journey with others creates a synergy that strengthens everyone involved. These connections remind us that while our challenges may be personal, we're not alone in facing them. The role of spiritual mentors and guides becomes particularly crucial during difficult times. These individuals, whether they're religious leaders, counselors, or experienced practitioners, can offer invaluable perspective and guidance. They've often walked similar paths and can share insights from their own journeys. Their presence in our lives demonstrates that growth is possible and that darkness can indeed lead to light. Their wisdom helps us avoid common pitfalls and find our way when the path seems unclear. Moreover, being part of a spiritual community provides opportunities to both receive and offer support. As we grow stronger, we become better equipped to help others facing similar challenges. This cycle of giving and receiving creates a powerful dynamic that enriches the entire community. It's a reminder that our personal growth has ripple effects far beyond our individual experience. The daily practice of spiritual disciplines creates a foundation for lasting resilience. These practices need not be complex or time-consuming. Even simple rituals performed with consistency can produce profound results. The key lies in developing a regular rhythm of connection with the divine, creating spaces in our daily lives where we can step back from external pressures and reconnect with our spiritual center. This might involve morning meditation, evening prayer, or moments of mindful reflection throughout the day. Creating sacred space in our homes and lives becomes an essential part of this practice. This doesn't necessarily mean constructing elaborate altars or dedicated rooms. It could be as simple as designating a quiet corner for reflection or keeping meaningful objects or scriptures close at hand. These physical reminders of our spiritual commitment help anchor us during turbulent times and provide visible touchstones for our invisible practice. They serve as bridges between the material and spiritual aspects of our lives. The power of ritual lies not just in the actions themselves, but in the meaning we invest in them. Even ordinary activities can become spiritual practices when approached with intention and awareness. Simple acts like expressing gratitude before meals, taking mindful walks in nature, or keeping a spiritual journal can become powerful tools for maintaining our connection to the divine and strengthening our inner resources. Understanding the role of patience in spiritual growth becomes crucial for long-term resilience. Unlike many aspects of modern life that promise instant results, spiritual development often follows a slower, more organic timeline. This deliberate pace allows for deep integration of lessons learned and genuine transformation of character. Learning to trust this process, even when progress seems slow or unclear, becomes an essential part of our spiritual maturation. The concept of divine timing challenges our natural desire for immediate resolution to our problems. It teaches us that some lessons require time to unfold, some wounds need space to heal, and some opportunities must ripen before they can be seized. This understanding helps us resist the urge to force outcomes or rush through difficult experiences. Instead, we learn to trust that everything is unfolding according to a higher wisdom than our own limited perspective can grasp. Patience also plays a crucial role in how we handle setbacks and apparent failures along our spiritual path. Rather than viewing these as evidence of inadequacy or lack of faith, we can see them as natural parts of the growth process. Just as a farmer understands that crops need time to grow and that some seasons are for planting while others are for harvest, we too can learn to honor the natural rhythms of spiritual development. The integration of spiritual wisdom into daily decision-making represents another crucial aspect of building resilience. This involves developing discernment, the ability to make choices aligned with our highest values and spiritual understanding. Rather than compartmentalizing our spiritual life, we learn to apply its principles to every aspect of our existence, from major life decisions to seemingly mundane daily choices. This integration process often requires us to reassess our priorities and redefine success in more holistic terms. Material achievement, while not inherently negative, becomes balanced with spiritual growth and personal development. We begin to evaluate opportunities not just by their potential material benefits, but by how well they align with our spiritual values and contribute to our overall growth as individuals. This broader perspective helps us make decisions that serve both our immediate needs and our long-term spiritual development. The practice of spiritual discernment also helps us navigate complex ethical situations and relationship challenges. By maintaining connection with our spiritual center, we develop greater clarity about our true priorities and values. This clarity enables us to make decisions that may be difficult in the short term, but serve our highest good and the good of others in the long run. Emotional healing through spiritual practice becomes another vital component of building resilience. While modern psychology offers valuable tools for understanding and processing emotions, spiritual practices provide additional dimensions of healing. They offer frameworks for understanding suffering, tools for processing grief, and methods for transforming negative emotions into opportunities for growth. This combination of psychological and spiritual approaches creates a more comprehensive path to emotional wholeness. The role of forgiveness in emotional healing cannot be overstated. Spiritual traditions have long taught that forgiveness liberates not just the forgiven, but the forgiver as well. This doesn't mean condoning harmful actions or remaining in harmful situations. Rather, it means releasing the emotional burden of resentment and choosing to move forward unburdened by past hurts. This process, while challenging, becomes possible through spiritual practice and divine grace. Learning to embrace vulnerability as a strength rather than a weakness represents another crucial aspect of emotional healing. Spiritual traditions teach that our moments of greatest vulnerability often become doorways to profound connection, both with the divine and with others. When we allow ourselves to be truly seen, even in our pain and imperfection, we create space for authentic healing and transformation. The development of wisdom through life experience marks another significant aspect of spiritual growth. This isn't just about accumulating knowledge. It's about developing the capacity to understand and apply spiritual principles in increasingly subtle and sophisticated ways. This wisdom often emerges through the process of facing and overcoming challenges, as each experience adds another layer of understanding to our spiritual perspective. True wisdom includes recognizing the interconnected nature of all things and our place within this vast web of relationships. This understanding naturally leads to greater compassion and a more nuanced approach to life's challenges. We begin to see how our individual struggles and triumphs are part of a larger tapestry, and this perspective helps us maintain equilibrium during difficult times. Our personal challenges take on new meaning when viewed as part of this larger picture. The transmission of wisdom from one generation to the next becomes another important aspect of spiritual development. As we grow in understanding, we naturally find ourselves in positions to guide and support others on their spiritual journeys. This role requires us to continually deepen our own practice while remaining humble enough to recognize that we too are always learning and growing. The relationship between spiritual growth and physical well-being represents another crucial dimension of resilience. Many spiritual traditions teach that body, mind, and spirit are interconnected, and that caring for one aspect naturally affects the others. This holistic approach to health and wellness encourages us to view physical care as a spiritual practice, and to recognize how spiritual well-being contributes to physical health. Practices like mindful movement, conscious breathing, and healthy eating can become expressions of spiritual devotion when approached with awareness and intention. These practices help us maintain the physical vitality needed for spiritual growth, while also serving as opportunities to practice presence and mindfulness. The body becomes not just a vehicle for spiritual experience, but a partner in our spiritual development. Understanding the mind-body-spirit connection also helps us approach illness and physical challenges from a more balanced perspective. While we seek appropriate medical care when needed, we also recognize that physical symptoms sometimes carry spiritual messages or opportunities for growth. This integrated approach to health and healing supports our overall resilience and well-being. The cultivation of hope represents another essential aspect of spiritual resilience. Unlike mere optimism, spiritual hope is grounded in a deeper understanding of life's purpose and meaning. It persists even in the face of apparent defeat, because it's anchored in something beyond immediate circumstances. This kind of hope becomes a powerful force for transformation, enabling us to maintain our spiritual practice and continue growing even during difficult times. Hope in this context doesn't mean denying reality or avoiding difficult emotions. Instead, it provides a framework for holding both the reality of our current situation and the possibility of positive change. This capacity to hold apparent contradictions becomes another hallmark of spiritual maturity. We learn to acknowledge our pain while remaining open to healing, to face our fears while maintaining faith, and to accept our current limitations while working toward growth. The practice of cultivating hope often involves learning to recognize signs of grace and growth in unexpected places. These might appear as small synchronicities, moments of unexpected beauty, or subtle shifts in perspective that reveal new possibilities. Learning to notice and appreciate these signs strengthens our capacity for hope and helps us maintain our spiritual practice during challenging times. The role of surrender in spiritual development often seems paradoxical to modern minds accustomed to valuing control and achievement. Yet spiritual traditions consistently teach that true strength often emerges through surrender, not as passive resignation, but as active alignment with a higher wisdom. This surrender involves releasing our grip on specific outcomes while maintaining our commitment to growth and service. Learning to distinguish between what we can control and what we must accept becomes another crucial aspect of spiritual maturity. This discernment helps us direct our energy more effectively and avoid the exhaustion that comes from struggling against immutable realities. We learn to focus our efforts on what we can change while practicing acceptance of what lies beyond our control. The practice of surrender also involves learning to trust in divine timing and wisdom. This trust doesn't develop overnight. It grows through experience as we witness how situations we couldn't control often resolve themselves in unexpected ways. This lived experience of divine providence strengthens our faith and makes future acts of surrender easier. The cultivation of gratitude emerges as another powerful tool for building spiritual resilience. Unlike superficial positivity, spiritual gratitude involves a deep recognition of the gifts present in every situation, even challenging ones. This practice helps us maintain perspective during difficult times and strengthens our connection to divine grace. It becomes a way of seeing that transforms our entire experience of life. Regular gratitude practice often reveals unexpected blessings and hidden opportunities for growth. Even in situations that seem wholly negative, the practice of looking for things to be grateful for can shift our perspective and reveal previously unseen possibilities. This shift doesn't deny the reality of our challenges, but helps us maintain a broader, more balanced view that includes both difficulties and blessings. Moreover, gratitude practice helps counter the natural human tendency toward negative bias. By intentionally focusing on the good in our lives, we begin to notice more positive aspects of our experience. This creates a virtuous cycle where increased awareness of blessings leads to greater gratitude, which in turn enhances our ability to recognize and appreciate the good in our lives. Service to others becomes another crucial element in developing spiritual resilience. When we reach out to help others, even in the midst of our own challenges, we often find our own burdens lightened. This paradox, that giving often leads to receiving, appears consistently across spiritual traditions. Service becomes not just an expression of spiritual values, but a path to deeper spiritual growth and increased resilience. The practice of service helps us maintain perspective on our own difficulties while contributing to the welfare of others. It reminds us that we're not alone in facing challenges, and that we have something valuable to offer, even when we feel depleted. This recognition of our capacity to contribute, regardless of our circumstances, strengthens our sense of purpose and worth. Furthermore, service creates connections and community that support our spiritual growth. As we help others, we often find ourselves supported in unexpected ways. These connections remind us of our fundamental interdependence and the importance of both giving and receiving support along the spiritual path. We recognize that this journey is both universal and uniquely personal. Each person's path to developing spiritual strength will look different, shaped by their individual circumstances, beliefs, and experiences. Yet certain principles, like the importance of regular practice, the value of community, and the transformative power of faith remain constant across these diverse journeys. The development of spiritual resilience represents a lifelong journey rather than a destination. Each challenge we face becomes an opportunity to deepen our practice and strengthen our connection to the divine. As we continue on this path, we find ourselves increasingly able to face life's challenges with grace, wisdom, and an unshakable inner strength rooted in our spiritual foundation. Remember that every step taken on this path, every practice maintained, and every challenge faced with faith contributes to building lasting spiritual resilience. This strength becomes not just a personal resource, but a light that can help illuminate the path for others. In this way, our individual journey of spiritual growth becomes part of a larger tapestry of human transformation and evolution.